I would like to begin today by talking about the pelvic girdle of the appendicular skeleton. So, we have already touched bases with this a little bit in the intro to the skeleton lab presentation. So, right here we have the hip of the left side, and here is the hip on the right side. Here is the sacrum bone right here, and right here we have the coccyx bone. You can't see for the rod. So right here we have the coccyx bone. So we have three bones that make up the hip. We have the ilium right here. We have the pubis right here. And on the posterior side, we have on the posterior side we have the ischium. So here's the ischium. So we have the pubis, ilium, ischium. Pubis, ilium, ischium. Now, this structure right here is called the pubic symphysis, made up of fibrocartilage. And then we have the obturator foramen right here. And we have the iliac crest right here. Here's your iliac crest. Now, we have the greater and lesser sciatic notch. Right here is the greater. And then the lesser sciatic notch is right here. So, greater sciatic notch, lesser sciatic notch, and then this roughened part right here is the ischial tuberosity right there. And we have the hip socket here called the acetabulum right here. There's your acetabulum. This is the head of the femur. There's your acetabulum. Sacroiliac joint is this structure right here, and right here where the ilium is going to articulate with the sacrum, sacroiliac joint. And then we have the pubic symphysis right here. Sacroiliac, pubic symphysis. This is L5, lumbar vertebrae 5. This structure right here is an intervertebral disc. Now I want to show you all those structures on a disarticulated hip bone. So this is a right hip. So this is a right hip, as we see here. And I want to show you some structures. So right here we have the ilium. And then let me turn it this way. Lay it against this. So this is still the right hip. So this is the pubis right here. This is the pubis, or the pubic bone. Pubic bone right here, ilium bone, and an ischium. So there's 3 bones that make up his hip. Ilium, pubic bone, and then the ischium. This right here is the sacroiliac joint. Let me show you this. So this is the sacrum right here, and it fits like that. Sacroiliac joint. What is this structure here? You should know this is the obturator foramen. Let's flip this over and do some structures. So, this is the hip socket right here, or the acetabulum. This is the hip socket or acetabulum. Okay? We have this structure right here, which is the greater sciatic notch, and this is the lesser sciatic notch. Greater sciatic notch, lesser sciatic notch, and this roughened portion right here is the issue tuberosity. This right here is the obturator foramen. This right here is the acetabulum or hip socket again. Now, right here we have the iliac crest right here. And here is another hip bone. So this would be the left hip bone. So again, you would find the pubic bone, ischium, ilium, sacroiliac joint, greater sciatic notch, lesser sciatic notch, we'll flip it over, acetabulum, and then the issue tuberosity, obturator foramen again, and the iliac crest. Now we're ready for the femur. So here is the femur right here, and here we have the head region of the femur, which is going to articulate with what? The acetabulum. Okay, and then we have the greater trochanter right here, which is very visible. The greater trochanter, and then we have the lesser trochanter right here. So greater trochanter, lesser trochanter. Excuse me, pardon for the noise, removing the stool. On the distal region of the femur, we have the patellar surface, we have the lateral condyle and medial condyle, and then we have the epicondyle here, lateral epicondyle, and then the medial epicondyle here. And this right here is the kneecap or the patella bone, patellar surface again. And on the posterior side, you can see the condyles more visibly. Here. This would be the medial condyle here and lateral condyle. And we have the intertrochanteric line that runs right through here. And intertrochanteric crest is posterior, and it runs right through here between the greater trochanter and lesser trochanter. So let me show you this here. So we have the hip bone right here, and then this is how they articulate. This is the sacrum bone that I'm holding right here. It fits in nicely. Sacroiliac joint, that's your hip, and then we see the acetabulum right here, and then we see that the head of the femur, which is right here, this is the left femur right here, this is the left hip bone. Now there's a structure on the head called the fovea. I can hold it just right. There's a structure on the head called the fovea capitis, right there. So the head is going to articulate in this acetabulum right here like this. See that? Well, hopefully you do. What is this structure right here? Hopefully you will say greater trochanter. What is this structure right here? Lesser trochanter. Greater trochanter, lesser trochanter. This structure right here is your intertrochanteric line. Okay, let's look at the posterior aspect of that. Here's the intertrochanteric crest right here. So greater trochanter, lesser trochanter. Intertrochanteric crest is on the posterior part of the proximal region of the femur. Greater trochanter, lesser trochanter. Let's move on to the distal region. So the distal region, we have the patellar surface right here. We have the lateral condyle here and the medial condyle. And right here we have the lateral epicondyle and medial epicondyle. Right here we have the medial condyle and lateral condyle here. Medial condyle, lateral condyle. Now we have the patellar surface right here. And then right here we have the intercondylar in between the condyles. This would be the intercondylar notch region here. This would be the intercondylar notch region. And then right here we have the fossa. So this would be the notch, and this is the fossa right here. So I'll just say that again. Patellar surface right here on the anterior side of the femur. What is this structure here? This is the intercondylar notch and then the fossa. Medial condyle, lateral condyle. And let's do the tibia bone. So let me put these together here. Let me show you the skeleton here. Let me get down here. So right here we can pretty much see. Let's do this one. We can pretty much see the knee here. So, you're familiar with everything here, right? So, femur, patella bone, and then we have the tibia bone right here. And then we have the fibula bone right here. So this is the fibula bone. Tibia, fibula. Okay? Patellar surface. This is where we're at here. Alright. Pardon me for my noise. Okay. So, here we see a left tibia and fibula bone. Tibia and fibula. Now, we look at the lateral region of the tibia bone, because we can see the fibula right here. The fibula is right here. We look at the lateral region. This would be the lateral condyle. This is the femur bone here. And we see it articulates like this. You see that? So, lateral condyle of the femur. This is the lateral epicondyle here of the femur. Medial condyle of the femur. And then this right here is the medial epicondyle. Same thing is the case here for the tibia bone. So, you have your lateral epicondyle, and then you have your medial epicondyle, lateral condyle, medial condyle, lateral condyle, lateral epicondyle, medial epicondyle. There's a region right here, a tuberosity of the tibia, called the tibial tuberosity here. Here is the tibial tuberosity right here. Hopefully you see that. Tibial tuberosity. Okay? I forgot one thing here. We have the intercondylar eminence right here. This is the intercondylar eminence right here. And remember that this region here of the tibia is the proximal region of the tibia. So, lateral condyle, intercondylar eminence, and then you have the medial condyle. And this right here is the tibial tuberosity. Okay, let's look at the distal region of the tibia bone. So, right here, we have a malleus right here. And since this is medial, since it's medial, this is called the medial malleus. Medial malleus. Okay, let's do the fibula bone now. So the fibula bone is pretty simple. There's just a few things I want you to know here. So here is the head of the fibula bone, and that's associated with the proximal end. So here's the head region, and here is the lateral malleus of the fibula bone. So lateral malleus of the fibula bone and medial malleus of the tibia bone. So lateral malleus of the fibula, medial malleus of the tibia. And we can see this same thing here with the articulated full skeleton. We see the lateral malleus of the fibula and medial malleus of the tibia bone. Let's do all these bones here, all these tarsals of the foot. So, right here, let's just do it over here. It's easier here. Okay. So, here we are looking at the foot. Calcaneus bone is right here. Calcaneus bone. This bone right here is the talus bone. And we see that the talus bone is going to articulate with the medial malleus of the tibia and lateral malleus of the fibula. So calcaneus and talus. This bone right here on the lateral side is called the cuboid bone. Cuboid bone. And then, let me turn it over this way. Maybe it'll stay there. So, right here we have the talus bone. Here we have the calcaneus bone. I've already showed you the cuboid. And then we have this bone right here called the navicular bone. Navicular bone right here. And then we have these three bones right here. We have the medial cuneiform, intermediate cuneiform here, excuse me. Medial cuneiform, intermediate cuneiform, and lateral cuneiform. Medial cuneiform, intermediate, and lateral. Cuboid, navicular, talus, calcaneus. And let me show you this on this disarticulated foot here. So the tibia has been removed, as well as the fibula, and we see the left foot now. What is this bone here? Calcaneus. What is this bone here? This bone is the talus. What is this bone here? Navicular. What is this bone here? Medial cuneiform, intermediate cuneiform, lateral cuneiform, cuboid. Now, we have the metatarsals. So all these bones here are the tarsals I just showed you. Metatarsals, and then the phalanges. And we can see that you have proximal phalanx, middle, and distal. Proximal phalanx, middle, and distal. And we can see this is true for all except for the great toe, the big toe, which has just two. Okay, I think that's got it.